Hey everybody, how's it going? We are live from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Welcome to our, I don't know what number we're on for 16th Epic Hour. That's a lot of Epic Hours. That's 16 hours of amazing content.
That's like 4 months.
Yeah.
I've been here for 4 months.
Don't go there.
I need to get out of Canada pretty soon. Awesome. Well, hope everybody is having an awesome day.
Yes.
So we actually got some sunshine today. A little bit of an indoor-outdoor feel. And where are we coming to them live from?
Our actual shop / warehouse, our compound, basically. So we kind of thought, we've kind of shown you inside the office, but we've never shown you the workspace and everything else in the yard. So we were like, it's sunny and it's nice. We got a pretty good opportunity here to show you what we got.
Yeah, and who knows? There's still a lot of trucks out, so maybe we might get the odd person coming in too. Oh. We can drag them in. A lot of our team doesn't like being on camera. So
they're getting better though. Yeah. Lots of you that follow us on Facebook have seen our team, and lots of the members out there working, and that's cool.
So don't forget, we always like to have you guys input your information or your questions, into the chat so we can make it really interactive. So we hope you will ask questions and or give us new topics to talk about too. But we are going to be talking about rental properties for this Epic Hour. So any questions? Alyssa knows more of that side of the business. I do more of the...
I do the job of pretending to know.
I do more of the investor side of getting the investors lined up and on the properties. Liz does more of the buying and then deals with all of our team members as far as managing the tenants and fixing up the houses and all that kind of stuff. So most of this will probably be Alyssa talking.
Oh boy, here we go. You guys are in trouble now.
So do we want to just go off of this?
Sure, we can. And I mean, like I said before, this is an amazing opportunity to ask your questions in regards to if you have a property. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I may not know all the laws for your rentalsman or the group that does your evictions, but I usually can give you some perspectives that might help you think outside the box. I've done it many, many times here in Saskatoon and Saskatchewan, and actually I've helped people in Alberta, and actually have also helped people in Ontario as well. So, I mean, sometimes there's something I can kind of put a spin on that might be helpful. It's always worth asking, right? And it's hard to come across people that, you know, we're now at over 400 houses, and, you know, that's a lot of experience on rental properties, right?
How many doors is that?
696, I want to say, but I could be wrong.
So it's a little shy of 700 doors.
Oh, 684.
Totally.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of tenants.
Yeah.
So might think we know a thing or two.
Right.
So, and actually Alyssa's gotten the lease super tight as well as having all of the extra little loopholes or gray areas that the rentalsman tenancy board usually looks for. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like ironclad.
It sure is. Yeah, I don't know what that movie was called. There was a George Clooney movie, and he was a lawyer, and he did prenups for weddings, and I forget the lawyer's name. But anyways, it was a joke about his prenup was ironclad until he fell in love with the wrong woman. But anyways, I can't remember, but nobody remembers. Anyways, I guess I'm showing my age. But our lease is basically like that. That it like we go to ORT, and it's the only, honestly, and the last year, the only time we haven't won is because the ORT themselves have made a mistake in the documentation, and then the tenant was smart enough to take it to the next court, which is Queen's Bench. It got thrown out at that point, but the only reason we went was because of someone else's screw-ups, not ours. So that's a pretty good, in my opinion, for our company. That's an amazing pat on the back right there. But yeah, so lots of people ask these questions over and over. The questions like, what do we look for in a rental property? Now, again, we have ours tuned in pretty tight for, you know, Saskatchewan, basically, Saskatoon, some other cities we're looking at. We know it inside and out here because it all ultimately comes down to numbers. And obviously, if you're looking at rental properties, you're not buying them the same way you're buying a flip to the public, right? Typically, okay? And what you're wanting is typically, it depends on what kind of scenario you're in. Are you the type of person that can renovate quite a bit of stuff? Okay. Because you can get a lot of good buys on rental properties if you're handy and able to fix some things. If you can't renovate and you're going to bring in contractors and all the things, you better be good at negotiating then to get that rental property well below market value to have some value in it, right? So those are some key things to think about when looking at like what to look for condition. It's going to be on your case scenario, right? Like we can talk our scenarios all day long, but what are you capable of ultimately? If you're looking for yourself, then are you looking for closer to turnkey? That changes everything, right? For what you can spend, what you're going to do. If you're looking for closer to turnkey, you're more than likely paying close to market value for that property, in which case is your objective to hold it for a minimum of 10 to 15 years, because that's the only way unless you're in a market that is appreciating so freaking high, in which case, why are you buying a rental property there? Because it ain't going to cash flow.
Again, it makes sense to make sure you're doing your due diligence, because you need to know what's happening in your market. Yeah. And at the end of the day, you need to know who you're even going to be renting to, yes. Right? Are you renting an entire unit? Are you renting individual room rentals? Are you doing short-term rentals via Airbnb or whatnot? What is your model going to be? The other thing is just to have a safety net. I always encourage people to make sure you have a plan B. Mm-hmm. For example, with Airbnbs, our Airbnbs have stayed full this whole time during COVID, but again, Saskatchewan was pretty loose when it came to the COVID rules, as opposed to other areas where they shut down short-term rentals, right? So I know Ontario, a lot of our investors out there were having a hell of a time with their Airbnbs because they were not allowed to rent them, right? So again, if you're able to pivot and adapt, then you're okay. For us, wasn't a big deal, but for us, it's such a small percentage of our portfolio, didn't really matter. So right now we're just in the process of actually setting up some furnished individual room rentals for students, right? We've got a SAS Polytech, which is like a technical institute for people who are in apprenticeship or trades or other type of schooling. And then we also have the university. Looks like a lot of the university classes are actually going to be online heading into the fall. So it'll be interesting to see if we still have students who want to stay in town year round, or if they're going to be more transient. So we're kind of playing it out and seeing what's happening, but we're going to give it a go, furnish some places. And again, if it doesn't rent or doesn't hit our quota, we'll just
shift.
Yeah, pivot and adapt.
Well, so all of our Airbnbs that we have purchased, we know if something happens, Saskatoon changed the rulings, whatever happens, we would just convert them to rentals. End of story. They would just rent. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
And so again, for us, for the ones that we buy, again, we work with social service tenants. So we look for different type of housing than a lot of other people. It either needs to have a very open concept, living, kitchen, dining kind of area, or it has to have kind of a lot of bedrooms. It's one or the other, typically for our houses, because our tenants, they typically appreciate they're very close-knit family members, so they'll either utilize the bedrooms as bedrooms and share the bedrooms, or they're going to literally utilize the open space more as a communal sleeping area. It's just what they do, and no right or wrong here. It's just so we kind of look for those things in our properties. Can it service this style of living or that style of living, right? And it's just something we noticed with our clients. That was a big one for us, that kind of thing. So that's kind of that. As far as bones of a property, we're pretty blessed again here in Saskatoon. We have houses that are close to 100 years old or are 100 years old in our portfolio. And we don't care, because in Saskatoon, it's all about the ground. It's amazing here. It's a very typically sandy soil. A lot of people don't take ground as serious as they should, okay? If you have no foundation, you have no house. Okay, period. And if you have no roof, you have no house. Everybody gets hung up on the lipstick, which is wrong. Those are the two things right there you need to look at, because they are huge expenses for most people, and they can be literally wreak complete havoc on your property. Okay, I can't even count the number, but it's exorbitant, the amount of properties we purchased off people because either they couldn't afford to fix the roof, or the grading was horrific. So the basement was taking on water. And thirdly, eaves troughs. Oh my Lord, same thing. The amount of money we've made off properties because eaves troughs are plugged, non-existent, or not running the water away from the property. It's wild. Like I bet you we buy those about 3 a month. I'm buying that, where it's like there's some water potentially in the basement. You walk around and go, oh look, there's trees growing out of the eaves trough. Well, of course there's water in the basement. The house isn't shedding water. It's absorbing it, right? So that's a super big deal. And I don't think that would matter where you live, that you need to have that grade and you need to have that water flow away from the property. So critical.
Well, and we have a lot of houses that are in established neighborhoods. And so for us, there's trees everywhere. It's just the nature of the beast. So again, sewage issues or sewage troubles. So we always try to make sure we have the sewer lines cleaned out every 1 or 2 years, because definitely going to have tree roots in there. Not something you generally have to worry about in a brand new area because there's not established trees. Also a plus and a minus, right? Because I actually do like the established trees because it's just a different type of feel when you go home or whatnot. And then there's also the other side where of course all those trees are going to shed, and where do they end up? In the eaves trough. So for us, Liz has been working hard to get a contractor who's able to get everybody on rotation for getting the eaves troughs cleaned out on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's part of our actual regular maintenance. Every year the eaves troughs get cleaned on our properties. And again, it's just a no-brainer because water is the biggest enemy. Oh yeah, there's our security dog.
Oh, Molly came to say hi. Look at, we'll see.
Yeah.
There's Molly. I don't know if you guys can see her. Yeah. Say hi, Molly. Molly. Oh, and there's Truder coming to say hi. Hey guys, shush. They're just showing off. Oh, they're doing their doggy yoga.
Yeah.
All right. So they're just gonna watch out and join the show.
Yeah.
So
you'll hear them bark every once in a while because as soon as somebody walks by, it's after 5 here and everybody's pretty much gone, so they're doing their job.
Yeah. So they go on. But
yeah.
So they stay at the yard and they actually just literally protect the compound.
Yeah.
And they're spoiled, but they get a little lonely on the weekends when there's not as many people here to give them belly rubs and loving on them.
But don't come after hours because they're not that friendly.
Yeah, they've ripped apart how many skunks and that big huge jackrabbit.
Yeah.
Like massacred. So
yeah.
They definitely work.
And they don't like people coming up to the fence. They sure can tell what their job is.
Yeah.
Anyways, so in regards to rental property, so what we look for, it's literally, we look at the house itself. A lot of people say, what's that magic house? It's not a magic house. It's the magic numbers behind the house. Meaning, can I purchase the house and make money in the buy? Period. End of story. It doesn't matter if the house is located in the north end, south end, west side, east side. Typically, we look in Saskatoon on the west side just because of the demographics of our clients. With that being said, though, we have bought properties all over Saskatoon based on numbers. If the numbers work, we will buy it and we will rent it.
So we always try and educate people to get the emotions away from investing in real estate. And some people won't, and that's okay. But for us, like I've had people tell me that, well, I'm not going to buy or own or rent something that I wouldn't live in.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's your own concession, right? Yes. But for us, the way we look at it is it safe, sound, and secure, right? I'm not judging because our tenants live different than we do.
Yeah.
There's generally a lot of garbage that comes out of the houses. They just are more of a transient group by nature, and they have a lot of people coming and going, and it's just a different way of being. I don't live that lifestyle. At the same time, it's a different type of living. It's a different type of house. So, feel free to pick your houses how you pick. For us, we make sure it's safe, sound, secure. And what we mean by that is that there's proper working heat and water, proper locking and opening, operating windows and doors. We make sure that there's no mold in the house. We make sure that everything is functioning properly and that it is, bug-free, all that kind of stuff. And so again, sometimes people are like, well, it's not pretty. I'm like, didn't say it was pretty. I said it was safe, sound, and secure.
Has to be.
Because at the end of the day, for us and our demographic of how we rent, pretty isn't going to get you more rent. It's based on the beds and baths and the condition of the house. And so for us, safe, sound, secure, not pretty, shiny, new.
Yeah.
Feel free to buy your houses and manage them however you choose. this is what works for us.
So again, location is heavily based on markets. Okay. So you have to, again, figure out your niche. Rochelle and I learned very, very quickly we were going to work with the clientele of the social service world. I do not recommend that for very many people. Okay. It is an amazing cash flow opportunity as long as you are capable of managing the property. And when I say managing, that's a very politically correct way of saying babysitting. Okay. So that means you're the type of person that's going to check that property multiple times in a month, at least once on the inside and many times on the exterior. Okay. If that's not the kind of person you are, you do not want to deal with these type of tenants. They are not the kind of, you shouldn't do that with any tenant. You know, think of this, landlord and tenant relationship where, I'm going to rent this house and not go look at it for 6 months. That is not smart. That is how most people get themselves in trouble, big time. What happens is you'll get a tenant, they'll be amazing, and then they have a life change. Okay. In our situation, it could be somebody ends up with a significant other that ends up going to jail. Okay. Now all of a sudden the hierarchy of the household has changed. Everything changes. Now all of a sudden there's different groups of people coming through, and those people are not good people, and it can go downhill fast. Okay?
Or it could be a multitude of things. It could be somebody wants to come in from off reserve or move out to off reserve. So now all of a sudden there's not many people paying the rent, or maybe somebody loses their children, so then they can't pay rent. Like there's so many different things that could be happening. It's just
but this happens even with people that are not on assistance. Okay, you'll get working people, and same thing. Somebody could split, and then you don't know they've split, and then all of a sudden little things start happening. You know, things disappear, or the rent slowly starts sliding, all kinds of things, right? And it just came down to, were you checking that property? And honestly, a lot of people, it's not something you can set and forget when you're looking at a house.
Not if you're going to be an active investor.
Yeah, like you have to be willing. You know, you have fall maintenance, you have winter maintenance, you have summer maintenance, you have spring maintenance. There are all these things. Like we have our little checklist for our properties, right? You know, like I said, we're cleaning the gutters right now. You know, come winter, it's sidewalk and ice damming and all the checks for that, right? If you're not able to put the time into that, it doesn't make sense to go buy a rental property. So again, location, the reason location is so important is the type of clientele. If you're going to rent to U-Feel university students, then you need to find a property that a university student would want to rent. It doesn't make sense to buy a property that's 15 neighborhoods away from the university, set it up for students and think they will come. Okay, not a smart idea, right? You need to literally figure out where the students want to be, and then you need to go into those neighborhoods and find the property that will work for you. Okay, not the other way around. You don't go buy the property and then go, I'm going to make this work or fit for students. Okay, that won't work. Trust us. Okay, so that would be another big reason of why and how location. And sometimes location will allow a house to appraise more. So for example, there was a house on 33rd Street. I had passed it up before, and then ironically, I was headed to somebody's house to look at. And when I went by, I went, wait a second, I'm gonna drive down the alley. That house that I thought about buying here in the end was backing a park. And I went, oh, damn, I can put a little more money into that offer. And lo and behold, I bought it. We were 10 grand apart, and I was willing to increase it a little more because the backyard is onto a park and a school. That changes it, right? So again, that's where a small change, like with a location, can really help value out that property a little more. So that's definitely a big one.
And then knowing your market and what is possible there. So I know some people who are, especially in Ontario, are going and legalizing basement suites and secondary units. And so knowing the rules around there, and it's interesting because when I was down there last year, I went on a couple of house tours or whatnot with different investors, and I was asking them questions about how things work in their areas. And there's like no zoning regulations as far as maxing out the square footage for the secondary units. Nice. And I was like, what? Because we're capped out at 750 square feet for a secondary dwelling in the same unit, right? So if you think about it, there's no way you're ever going to get more than 2 small bedrooms in one secondary unit. So we like houses where there already have established suites in there, even if it is not a legalized suite. If we can prove that can be grandfathered in, we can actually go through the legalization as long as we can prove that it was there before a certain date, right? So knowing the rules and the guidelines that are happening in your market, because every market is different, right?
Yeah.
And so that's
we'd love to be able to convert whole basements to
Yes,
suites. So we would do that in a heartbeat.
and we do on the older suites that are already, they already have
it's called an
bones in there.
LES here. It's legalizing existing suite permitting.
Yeah. And so it's just knowing the rules and knowing what's allowed in your market. But generally, when people are wanting to buy long-term rent and hold strategies or plays, that's the only way that makes sense if you're in those certain markets where the market is really high, is if you're going to put a secondary unit and then all of a sudden it'll cash flow, as opposed to if it was a single family home or a single family unit before, it wouldn't, right? So it's just knowing what makes sense. And again, like Alyssa said, knowing exactly what you're capable of. Because if you're really handy and you can do a lot of the work yourself, then doing a BRRRR is really easy, and then you can take all your money out, move on to the next. Great, good for you. If you're not handy or you don't have enough time to commit to doing that, again, this is why we literally offer the Hassle Free Landlord program, because there's a lot of people out there who understand that they should be investing in passive residential real estate, but they don't have the capacity or the time to do it actively themselves. And they just don't want to deal with any of the drama of having a property manager or any of that stuff. And so again, we're looking for people who are living their best lives and they don't want to do any of the things. So that's another option too.
Yeah, definitely. And now you can then, with talking about suites and those kinds of additions, a prime example, I just walked a property here with one of our wholesalers / contractors. The gentleman purchases properties and then fixes them up to the specs that we want, and then we buy it off him. Love it. Great relationship. And so we were looking at this one house and we're in the basement suite, and he's like, there's this kind of a dead space behind the laundry room. And he's like, should I just add that to the bedroom and make it a ginormous walk-in closet? You couldn't put another bedroom because of the way the house is situated. And I said, no. I said, what we're going to do is just finish this wall, put a door and a lock. And I said, I can rent it to the basement tenants as a storage place for bikes, that kind of thing. And then the upstairs tenants could have the garage as theirs. Now, that's an example right there where you can rent that little room separately, completely different lease, completely different rent amount, and we do that on purpose here, okay? It's the same thing with garages. So another house we looked at, it was a 2-suiter, and the garage was a 2-car with 2 doors, and I went, holy Dinah, this is cool. We can just put a wall down the middle, and now you can rent 1/2 of the garage to the upstairs and 1/2 to the basement tenant just by adding a man door and a wall down the middle, right? So again, taking that space utilization and maximizing it. The other thing we're doing to help rent our properties better is when you have multi-units in a property, we're actually going and fencing the yards so that everybody can have a chunk of backyard, so they're not fighting over yard. Now, again, I know in some cities, lots of your properties don't even have yards, but here in Saskatoon, our properties all have yards. And it is amazing, by dividing the yard in half and giving each unit part of the yard, they're also the ones then that you can put on them to have to be responsible for the yard, cutting the lawn, that kind of thing, right? So, that kind of is little tips and tricks, right? Utilize your space, max it out. Now here, we rent those storage rooms and those garages separately for a huge reason, okay? Under our ORT, or rentalsman, garages do not fall unless they are attached to the property, as in an attached garage to the house. They do not fall under the rentalsman. So by us, with a detached garage, having a separate lease, if our tenant starts frankly dicking us around for rent on that house, we can take back the garage and be like, you can't seem to handle the costs of the house. You know what? We're done. Here's your notice on the garage. Remove your items. We're taking it back. It's funny how all of a sudden they'll make sure that house rent is caught up, and it doesn't have to go through rentalsmen because they don't touch it. So again, That's what we're talking about. So you can do the same thing with sheds in yards, and I would assume in lots of communities or provinces, even with their rentals bin. I would definitely talk to them about our, our garages, included with your rulings for your rentals bin. Because if they're not, treat them like a completely separate entity, period, end of story. And a garage is another amazing way to increase the value of a property, because here they hit the 1% rule. You can get a ginormous 2-car garage, get it to a point where it's heated, insulated, everything for between 25, 30 grand, and then turn around and rent it for $300 a month plus utilities. Hello, what have we talked about nonstop? 1% rule. It's an amazing, amazing, really affordable way to help a property increase its value and bring up that rent.
Yeah, and it's interesting because some people are like, well, don't you just rent the garages with the house? And we're like, never, right? And some people are like, oh, well, I do. And I'm like, that's, if you want to give away potential extra money, that's on you. Again, for us, because we pay our investors such heavy returns, we need to make sure we're capitalizing on everything we possibly can. And the other side of it too is that a lot of our tenants don't have vehicles. So they don't actually want the garage, or they wouldn't use it. So why include something that they're probably not even going to use when we can literally, it's a lot easier to rent a just non-heated single car garage for $100 a month instead of paying how many hundreds of dollars on a storage unit for some people, right? So it's just a matter of looking at things differently. If it's not a need for one person, it'll be a need for another. So we have a couple of questions.
Yeah. So Brian asked, will you ever expand into large multifamily real estate such as apartment buildings? Not at this time. We are hyper-focused on our journey to $1 billion. So once we reach that $1 billion and residential real estate control, that's where you'll see us. Who knows what we'll get into at that point. We can go any directions. We have talked about apartments at one point. I'm not a huge fan because my problem with apartment buildings is bugs.
Again, these are based on low income tenants
No,
where there's a lot of bugs and such. And then also it's different demographics. I won't even explain where a lot of the bugs come from.
But no, like it's a problem in lots of big apartments and stuff is bed bugs and cockroaches.
But they come from somewhere.
Yeah, well, yes. But I'm just saying, like it once they're in the building though, it's what I'm getting at is it's incredibly hard to eradicate. And now all of a sudden, if you got a 20 unit or a 30 unit or a 40 unit building and you have to remove those bugs, unless you clean out that building, meaning everyone leaves for a very lengthy period of time, you will never truly get rid of those bugs. It is incredibly hard. So now you better have incredibly deep pockets, because if your building's going to sit vacant for multiple months so this problem can be eradicated, that's my one thing. That is my one thing that just, I in a single family home, it's easy. The people are gone, you close it up, you deal with it, and you could sit on it for 2 months. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect your whole portfolio, right? So that's my one hindrance. Now, there are pros and cons to everything. Having a multi-unit, you end up having the amazing capability that most of your rent's being collected from one place. Right? Those kinds of things. Your maintenance, much easier to predict, right? So there's pros and cons to both, but at this time, it just doesn't work for us because we're focusing so hard on our journey to $1 billion. And then we've got Alan. When adding one new bedroom and a basement of a 3-bedroom house, how much does the market value increase? Well, again, it depends. This is going to depend.
It says here, though, making into 4-bedroom, not a separate basement suite.
Yes.
So again, just single family unit, just adding one more bedroom.
So, but again, it's going to depend on location and how big the bedroom is, those kinds of things. But it's anywhere between about $8,000 to $20,000, depending on the property.
And then what would increase rent by?
Oh, rent easily. That's another anywhere from $200 to $400, depending on the property.
Per month. So that adds up, guys. So for us, we actually are, I believe, hiring somebody just to do core cutting windows, or how's that work?
Yeah, we have the ability to cut them ourselves too. It's just we're so busy with a few other projects right now. We brought in a gentleman, contractor. He gave us good rates. It's going well. We've already done this month 6 windows we've cut. And, you know, I honestly go into a property now looking, going, okay, this is an easy way to make some money. I just bought one on 33rd Street, for example. It's a 3 and 2. I think there's one tiny, tiny window in the laundry room. There's literally 2 dens in the basement that have closets, have everything. They just don't have the windows. I'm going to go pay our contractor to come in, cut an egress window. Now that house, literally, I'm going to increase that value to about 35,000 with the small changes between the window. There's some tiny things inside we're going to fix up. That's it.
So what will the total cost be on that project?
What would it cost with again, we get such great prices because I'm really good at negotiating, and then volume. And so honestly, that project, it's under $5,000.
So add in 5, it grows by 35,000. See why things make sense the way we do it, right? So again, if somebody wanted to come in and do this on their own, one by one, their cost on it would probably be double. They'd probably be paying 10 grand. And then again, would they over renovate it? Would they want to spend more money because it's something that they would want to live in? It's interesting, right? So again, margins might be less, but maybe somebody would do a burr, whatever. There's lots of different opportunities, but for us, again, it's just volume, right? Yeah. We always want to make sure that we can lift a property by about 25 to 40 grand so we can get in, get out, move it on to a house-free landlord owner, get our fund to flip investor that paid out, get them their money back so we can go do another one and then just keep doing it.
Yeah. But adding honestly a basement bedroom.
It doesn't even have to be a basement bedroom.
Yeah.
We've literally had lofts where we just added a door at the bottom of the stairs so that it's a bedroom now because it has a closet and a window and a door.
Yeah.
Right. Literally. So there's so many ways that it could happen. It's wild. So yeah, and other quick ways to add some real equity. One, adding a closet into a room that doesn't have one that has a window, right? Because in our brains, and again, some realtors don't look at this or they have different classifications, but in my brain, appraisers generally look at it. If it doesn't have a closet and a window, an opening, operable window, then it can't be constituted as an actual bedroom. So if you can add a closet very minimally for very minimal cost, or you can add a window, then that's a quick way to get an extra bedroom. And then from there, there's always the idea of adding an extra bathroom because bathrooms always pay a good return. They pay for themselves, right? So if you have a 5-bedroom house and 1 bathroom, if there's some way you can sneak in a secondary bathroom in there, it'll definitely pay.
And again, depending on the layout, sometimes it's even more valuable to take one of those small bedrooms, convert it to a bathroom and make it a 4 and 2. Yeah. Because it's more feasible, especially if you're flipping, for a family to buy a property.
If you're flipping a house, there's no way we would ever flip a house that didn't have 2 bathrooms.
No.
There's no way. So we got a question here from Carrie.
Carrie, okay. In Saskatoon, where's the best place to get nice laminate at a good quality and good price? So we actually have 3 places we buy our flooring from. And if you want, just give me a call. I'll tell you the 3 where our accounts are. Go look at the flooring. And if you see something you want, you can utilize our account, just pay for it then and there. And you get our price point. No problem.
Do you want to say the names or?
Well, it's right now we work with Home Depot. This is more Gary's. The other one we worked with End of the Row Floor, and then there's a new.
Is that the local flooring?
Yes, the local. Yes, I believe that's the one. Their flooring is made out of Alberta, and so they're the 3 that we're working with right now.
We just got a batch from Verona.
Yes. I haven't gone there. You had done a side project there, but
we got an awesome deal at Rona. So again, call us. We can hook you up.
Yeah, big deal. No problem. We have accounts all over town. Anyone who's in Saskatoon or comes through Saskatoon, reach out to us. We'll no problem. We'll say go put it under us and get our price. We're no problem whatsoever with that.
Oh, call us. We just got a new kitchen guy.
Yeah.
You will not beat his prices.
Yeah.
Insane.
It sure is. So, yeah. Incredible.
We can't even talk about the prices because it's just an epic deal.
Yeah.
So, but he'll still give you a good deal if we send you over there. And then we got a question here from Brian. He says, once you reach 1 billion in a couple of years, you have a goal after that. And he says, you will do it. Yay. Thanks, Red. We definitely will. We definitely do. it's going to change. It's going to morph. And that's why we've just focused on getting to 1 billion.
Yeah.
But at that point, I think it's going to really kind of stem off into us kind of doing our own things. And then
it'll be branches of,
yeah,
you're just going to see the company expand. All of a sudden you'll see a new brand, a new product, a new something.
Yeah.
You know, Rochelle has her things that she's always gravitated to. I have mine I was gravitated to, and it's just going to be a meeting in the minds. You know, she'll bounce stuff off me and go, hey, I think I want to run this direction with this. And it's going to be like, hey, have at her. And, you know, there'll be things I'm going to look at doing. And they're all going to pretty much be under the umbrella of E.P.I.C Alliance Inc.
Yeah.
So for an example, would be something along the lines, right now we have E.P.I.C Alliance Electrical Inc. There's nothing stopping us from having E.P.I.C Alliance Plumbing Inc. and E.P.I.C Alliance, you know, we could do new builds. We could do, you know, it could go 1,000 different directions. It's just going to be when we reach that mark, it'll come down to what will be the best direction to help the company just keep going and growing, and what will also spiritually and creatively feed us. Because right now, when you're an entrepreneur, it is to stay this focused. It's why one of the reasons we have a coach. Staying this focused is a lot of energy and a lot of work, because it's no secret. We look at something and go, oh my gosh, if you did A, B, and C, this would be an amazing product, or this would be an amazing opportunity, right? But we can't act on any of that because
it would detract us
from our journey to 1 billion. And so that's basically what it's going to morph into. All these things we've been putting on hold or off to the side are just going to become unleashed.
Yeah. And, you know, there's some people that I'll ask, well, I don't understand how you're going to get to a journey to 1 billion when, well, all of a sudden you want to kind of pull back from the company, right? And the way we look at it is we're just going to start taking off more of our hats. We've already started taking off some of those hats because we are bringing on awesome team members. Like we've got Ashley, who's our social media unicorn, and we've got Bailey, who's our affiliate coordinator. And then, you know, finally we have amazing assistants who have been helping us in the office. Their roles are going to expand, whether they have teams under them or whatever that looks like, or we hire new people who come in and join us, whatever that looks like. Bless you. Well, good on letting it out. Bailey's always like, so at the end of the day, we don't know what it's going to look like, but all we know is there are amazing people who want to be part of the E.P.I.C Alliance culture. And we just want to foster that. We don't want to be the ones having to do all the things. We want to willingly bring on amazing team players who want to take on more, and we want to give that over. So we just want to foster people in being able to do whatever part of the company that they are great at. And then we just want to slowly back out so that we can focus on doing different things.
Yeah. See that. This is a really easy, and then I'll go to a question here. This is a really easy tip. We do pet friendly.
In everything.
Yeah. It's amazing how it gives us a leg up dealing with, and it's funny because I sometimes, most of the time, would rather deal with people with pets than kids. But anyways, it's the way it goes. But by making it pet friendly,
because I guess you can charge a damage deposit or a pet deposit for the pets, but you can't for the kids.
So we actually charge a pet fee, because then it's non-refundable. If you use the word deposit, you have to give it back. There's another tip for your lease. I think that is probably standard across most places. I could be wrong. Again, check your area, but that's the kind of thing that can save you or break you. Verbiage in the lease. It's huge, just so you know. And the question, how much market value increase when you add a second bathroom to a 1-bathroom house? Oh, honestly, it's very similar to adding the bedroom, probably a little more though. You basically, you
can probably double what you spent on it easily. So if a new bathroom costs you $5,000 to put in, definitely 10 grand in extra value. If you are putting in a big, like full, you know, a separate shower, tub, whatever you spent 10 grand on it, it'll probably increase the value 20 grand.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it'll become so much more rentable. And again, if you're going to flip, put in that second bathroom. No one is ever going to buy a house with 1 bathroom.
We watched it happen here.
Never.
We could probably give you 3-4 cases we watched for fun.
Yeah.
Where we're like, that house has 1 bathroom. It's 3 floors. And we're like,
No.
Nobody's buying it.
And again, knowing what you're flipping, because
Yeah.
there's certain areas where if you don't have a master with an ensuite, your house is never going to sell, guys. Never going to sell. Again, depending on your area and where you're flipping, right? So for us, we always know, like we have a flip hitting the market here in August, and it's going to be interesting because it's a very unique house in the fact that there's no floors on the there's no bedrooms on the main floor.
Yeah.
It's not completely open concept because it is an older house. There's one washroom on the main floor, the whole living area, kitchen, and then the basement actually has the master ensuite that has a Jack and Jill bathroom, and then there's a secondary bedroom in there in the basement, and then there's actually a loft on the second floor.
Loft.
It's a big loft. We did a closet and we did a window so that it could be a door so it could be a bedroom if somebody wanted, but it's basically a 3-bed 2-bath house. Now it's not going to be for everybody because it is very unique, but it is in a very desirable location, a very affordable area, and it's super close to the river, which is desirable in our city. So it'll be interesting when we get this on the market because, again, it's unique. So it's going to be staged to the nines. We're actually going to have a big open house. If people want to come through it, feel free. We don't generally flip to the public, but we usually have one happening in the background every month, and get it done eventually. So that'll be going on.
They make for great pictures. What can we say?
Yeah, and I love doing the design.
She does. Yeah.
And then we have an awesome comment from Brian. He says Bailey provides amazing service to investors, and yes, she does. She is a gift for sure.
Absolutely.
So, and she's been rocking the affiliate coordinator stuff. So if anybody's interested in learning more about the affiliate army, be sure to reach out for your consultation call with Bailey. How many have you done so far? 12 or 13 done, and we have about 15 more, I think, coming down the pipeline. So people have been responding, and we're super excited getting everybody onboarded for the basic boot camp happening August 8th.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
it'll be an adventure.
With the pet friendly thing, we also do not put carpets in any of our houses. If a house has carpets that are good, we'll generally leave them
for one tenant.
Yeah, they usually only last one tenant. Again, low-income tenants live differently than we do.
Again, with pet friendly too. It just, we're in love with vinyl plank. It's been kind of the be-all, end-all for us.
Yeah.
For dealing with any kind of a house that's, say, a little older, maybe not 100%, level like how you'd like it. It allows the pets. It works with kids. It just, honestly, it's
so versatile.
We used to work a lot with linoleum. The problem with linoleum is it was easy for an animal to damage, or a child, or a person just moving a piece of furniture, and then all of a sudden you're having to redo it. So yes, it's initially cheap, but it has zero staying power, which was frustrating. But the vinyl plank, we've put in quite a few properties now, and man, I'm impressed at how that stuff holds up.
And it's interesting because when we first started, we would do laminate, because laminate flooring was something that we could afford. It's basically the only thing in our price point that looked good that we could afford to do. And it was more durable than hardwood because hardwood's soft and inexpensive. But now the cost of vinyl plank flooring over the last 5 years has come down so much, we can actually get it for cheaper or the same price as laminate flooring. And it just lasts. It's just an amazing product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's, and the repairability and everything about it, it's awesome. So I would recommend, if you are buying a rental property or you have an existing one, and the next time your tenants, just break down and do it, because it'll save you so many headaches in the long run.
But for us too, even in flips, and I know, go back to your market, find out what people want, but we just do luxury vinyl throughout the whole thing. And then when we stage, we just put big area rugs. It's a lot easier. And I know some people are like, I like having rugs in the bedrooms. And I'm like, I don't know. I've never had rugs in any of the houses I lived in, and I turned out okay.
No, area rugs have become so popular because, let's face it, folks, a lot of things, it's a disposable society, right? So having a very neutral canvas allows people to go to IKEA, buy the furniture, buy the little thingies, get sick of it 3 years, 4 years from now, turn around, get rid of it, and buy it all over again, right? Let's face it, that's where things are headed. Do I appreciate that? It's not my thing, but is that what people are doing? Is that what the majority are doing? Yes. So again, Rochelle talked about, would you live there? Would you, it's the same thing if you're flipping a house, or thank you, that kind of thing. It's, are you going to live in the flip? No. What are the buyers that are at the market door looking for right now? again, you need to look at your clients. You need to ask them, not yourself, not what you want. Okay. It changes everything.
Yeah. Another interesting thing is when you're flipping a property, whether it's a rental property or a flip to the public, people generally don't like browns anymore, guys.
Yeah.
It's all gray.
Yeah.
All gray all the time.
Yeah.
And I know even lots of whites, right?
Yes.
We don't do whites because they're really hard to keep really white and clean.
Yeah.
We do a lot of grays. If it's already a brown house, meaning it's got brown floors, then we usually do like a beigey color or whatever. But if we were going to do a new flip, never with the browns.
No.
We always go with gray. So just something to keep in mind, just because you might like browns, make sure you're checking out what other places or other people or whatever in your market are doing, because you want to make sure that your place is going to comp out well against places that other people are looking at.
For sure. Actually, is that CG? CG? Not in Ontario, in reference to the pet fee or damage deposits. So again, like I said, it varies from province to province. That's why I said, like, you have to, I think that's the other problem. A lot of people get into rental properties and they don't actually sit down and read your acts. I did. I sat down and read almost all of them. It's like 297 pages, or it was when I read it. Now there's just little changes here. It's great bathroom reading material or late night when you need to fall asleep. But I recommend, if you're going to be a landlord, you need to know where you stand. I hear all the time from people. I get phone calls like you cannot believe from distressed landlords. I got 18 emails I got from one woman I got to deal with. And they're always like, the tenants have all the rules and this and that. And I'm going, they do. But if you read the acts carefully and you set up your lease properly and you do the steps properly, you have rights too. Okay. The problem is nobody wants to do the steps and lay it out how you need to. Okay. So I'll talk about our eviction process here as an example. Okay. Every single one of our properties gets posted on the 16th if they are behind on rent. Okay. Why? Because you can't post before midnight of the 15th. Okay. They have 15 days to potentially catch up on rent. So what do? 8 o'clock by law, we are allowed to communicate with the tenants. 8 a.m. in the morning. 8 a.m., we are there posting our notices saying you are behind on rent. Okay. Here you have 30 days to act on them. Okay. We turn around, post it. If they haven't squared up their rent by the end of the month, we submit it. We don't wait for them and we don't listen to any more stories. I think this is the biggest thing I hear from people. They're like, well, they told me they were going to pay. I knew they were behind. And I was like, why didn't you start the proper paperwork and the proper processes and all the things to put yourself in a position so if it went bad, you were sitting where you needed to be to make the things happen that you need to have happen. Okay. I see this all the time, right? A lot of people just go, well, I had a call or I had a talk with the tenant. That's great. Did you document it? Did you take pictures? What did you do for your documentation, right? Did you communicate in multiple forms? Did you have a verbal conversation and then turn around and send a text or an email to that tenant summarizing the conversation? Did you do any of those things, to save your ass? Okay. There is no such thing as too much save thy ass when you are a landlord and dealing with tenants. I don't care how friendly or how nice your tenants are. It can go sideways very quickly. And if it's a he said, she said, the tenant's always right. If it goes into a verbal he said, she said, you're screwed. Okay. So don't set yourself up for it. Do your documentation. Don't be lazy and you'll be okay. But people don't want that. They just want it to go super easy
and it goes
and
back
do nothing.
to even properly screening who you're renting to.
That's
right.
Yeah.
Like, have a good application and make sure you actually know what you're doing, because people say a lot of shit and they lie. I'm sorry, but
here's an easy one. When you have the person's name, how many of you check their social media to see what kind of life they lead?
100%.
That's like super easy.
And
right there.
What's interesting is a lot of our tenants don't actually use their legit name for their Facebook profile. So on our application, it literally says name, Facebook handle. And if they're like, oh, I don't have Facebook account, sorry, we can't rent you, but thanks.
Yeah.
Everybody has a Facebook account if you're in like literally 95% of the population. And so if they're not willing to give you that name, okay, can't rent. All right.
It's usually a sign.
Yeah.
Okay, if you have multiple, pick one. Oh, color themes. Okay, so that, yes. So because we have multiple properties, and we did touch on this, we have 2 color themes for our rentals. It's either a brown rental, beige, whatever. Our paint color is actually called Irish cream, or it's a gray rental, and the paint color is gray granite gray. Sorry.
But soon to be changed.
Yes. Okay. And but gray brown. That's it.
Yeah.
We do not change. We do not deviate. Our contractors that we work with, no, those are the 2 paint colors. So if they send a message to me or one of the foremen, they're like, "What paint color is this?" Brown. They know they're going and getting that Irish cream from our place, the distributor or wholesaler we're buying from. Done. End of story. So super
It's the same
easy
thing with the flooring as well.
Yep.
We either have a brown color or a gray color.
Yeah, and we've even gotten lucky with some of the vinyl plank floorings where they have enough brown tone and gray tone combined that it's actually working in either house, which is even better to have something like that, a product like that.
Yep. So for us, it's volume based, right?
Yeah.
So we always use the same type of vanity, the same type of shower surround, the same type of, toilet paper holders and all that stuff. It's just literally making it just wash, rinse, and repeat. Again, we'll take you on a tour shortly here of our warehouse, but we have the storage capacities because we have to.
Yeah.
Right? If we didn't have that and we had to go to the store every single time, we would literally have to hire 3 people just to go to the stores full time. Right? And it just would not make sense. So if we can buy stuff in batches, we're having to order more appliances in now. Before we were able to get stuff and source stuff on Kijiji, but now, it's just a lot more volume. So we're having to buy more in bulk.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and again, we can't talk enough about preventative maintenance. You guys, this is your investment. Okay. It amazes me how many people want to set it and forget it. And it's like some of the biggest purchases they make. I'm like, come on. It's the same thing. I still will never understand why you turn around and take all your hard-earned money and give it to a fund advisor and just set it and forget it. That you don't have those meetings. You don't find out what your portfolios do. It's the same with your rental property. What is your rental property doing? How are things going? It's amazing. Even if you're buying a rental property and you're being an active landlord, it's amazing how a drive-by, if you have a property manager and you have those kinds of things in place, still, I would do a drive-by. And the reason is the property manager doesn't own it, isn't as passionate about it as you are. It's not their investment. Okay? So I'm not saying that they're a bad person. I'm not saying those things. I'm saying it's easy for them to slip or get lazy is a harsh word, but get maybe nonchalant about it because it's not their money. Okay? So again, you need to keep that in mind as a active landlord, that you need to seriously check on the property. If it was mine and I was going to be there, I honestly, that once a month, bare minimum, I would do a drive-by. It's amazing how just checking on, doing a circle around back, quick look, what you'll catch, what you'll see, what's been missed.
It always boggles my brain how all of a sudden I've heard stories where people are like, yeah, I don't know, my tenants just skipped out on rent and then I went to the house and it's completely trashed. And I was like, when was the last time you were there? 3 years ago. I mean, I don't think anybody deserves this, but really at the end of the day, if you are not stepping foot in your property at least every 6 months to do a smoke detector check at minimum, what the hell are you doing, guys? Like, you can't just assume people are like taking really good care of your house just because they're paying rent.
Yeah.
Right? So watch your properties and don't expect your property manager to do all of the things. So we do have to do a quick tour, but we want to hit a couple of things here. So one, what is our goal for 2021 for properties?
According to this, we're going to hit 1,000 properties.
So we actually want to hit that by January 2021, guys. So we still have, just so you know, this has to happen because we got to get to anyway. We're opening up the states. We are going to double down. And again, remember, don't forget, we're doubling our portfolio.
Going shopping.
We're doubling our portfolio every year, guys. But we are going to be opening up the states here in August. And once we are literally not only just buying in Canada, but we're buying in the States as well, we're literally going to go into hyperdrive here.
I need a drink.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of popped that one on her.
Yeah.
But again, like doubling the portfolio, we got to
Yeah.
get to $1 billion. We only have 2.5 years before I'm retiring. So we got to double down. We're going to go hard. So again, join the affiliate army, let people know about us because we want to be able to get to those numbers really quick. So we're heading into August here shortly. So we've got what? August, September, October, November, December. So we got 5 months. We can do another 600 properties, right?
Sure we can.
Yeah. See? It's only like what, 100 and some month? Yeah, well, mindset is everything. Suck it up. No, but you know what? But you know what though? Honestly, once the US is launched, we're literally going to be pumping out like volume, guys. It's going to be unreal. So anyway, that's going to be happening. And then we're going to be talking about next week's webinar is going to be
Tuesday, July 28th. It is noon Sasky time, 2 p.m. Eastern and 11 a.m. Pacific. So
what are we going to be talking about?
We are talking about everything from employees to contractors. So bring your questions about team members, hiring, contractors, dealing with them, due diligence, anything to do with those areas.
So this will be building out your team.
Yeah, 100%.
I'll show you what to do, what not to do. So we got to do a quick tour. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go on the
tour. So we're just going to pick up this little handy dandy sweet little computer. And we're going to walk around the warehouse and the compound. Anyone who needs to leave, go ahead. I understand. Did I touch something? Huh? Hi. No, I just thought I touched something. No. Oh, we're good? Okay. So a lot of people don't, realize what we're into here. This is our 8,000 square foot warehouse. You can see the appliances because this is heated, allows us to keep everything. Here's all the dishwashers. Every time we buy a house, 99% of our units, we do not leave dishwashers because they are just a water hazard waiting to happen. Here's fridges, stoves. And you know what we do with the dishwashers? If we aren't needing them for high-end Airbnbs or something along that line, we just turn around and sell them. And then, you can see here all the materials. Here's flooring. Tons of scrap flooring, our lovely handy dandy forklift. You can see all the washers, dryers. We just are negotiating on contracts with a appliance place in town here, so we can start just getting our appliances in bulk, fridges, stoves, washers, and dryers, so that we can just do that instead of trying to, do the Kijiji buys and all that, because at the times we run out of inventory, believe it or not. Here's a kitchen we took out of sometimes we get flippers that'll call us and say, we don't want this kitchen, but it's in good shape. Or, someone will be renovating and they call us and say, come take the kitchen, and we repurpose them in rental properties. It works great. Here's our work area. You can see this is the big table here. They can cut, do whatever. There's tons of wood, drywall. There's actually somebody was asking about flooring. Here's 2 pallets of flooring, very consistent with our color. This looks like, this is our gray theme here, you can see. And there's already an address to where it's going. So it just tells you what we're kind of doing. There's a bunch of doors. We repurpose where we can. That's a big thing with our company. Reuse, repurpose wherever you can, because it'll cut your costs to some point. There's a fine line. You can get too cheap on things and then you're in there nonstop. So again, our big 5 gallon, we buy our paint in 5 gallons because it's cheaper, right? So, so that's the inside building. Upstairs is our tool crib. It's where all of our tools, light bulbs, smoke detectors, the smaller items are kept. It's kind of locked up, so it's maintained. Yeah, we'll head outside here. You can see some of our fleet vehicles, the dogs. Yeah, look at these 2, right? Like these clowns, right? Yeah, this is who protects us right here. Right, guys? You gonna follow me? I found these 2. They were out on acreage and a family had to give them up. And so I went, you know what? I liked them. It was her more than him. He just kind of came with her. But anyways, so here's our vehicles. You can see, here's the exterior. And actually, Truder is Molly's son. So that's why he just came with her. And here's our, you can see our big trailer there. You can see our tire pile. So this is actually over an acre that we have. And the doghouse, look at that doghouse we built, right? Like the dogs live better than most people, right? Little porch, all the fine things right there. Heated water dish for in the winter. Yeah, so you can see our vehicles, our trucks, the vans for our tradespeople, our office. You guys have seen lots of the inside, but not the outside. But yeah, an entire acre that we use. Those are our garbage bins. And we need those. Need those lots and lots. So there you go. There you have it. That is the epic hour at its pretty much end here. And so just wanted to say thanks and stay epic.